Good evening, Mats. And lots of people waiting already. Sorry if I was a bit late. I've been fixing a bit up in here in the studio, so it's a little bit more preparation, but I think it looks nice. Hey, Stephen. Can anyone see, and Jack, nice to see you as well. Can anyone see, is it looking okay? It says, it's giving me a warning about low bitrate. I'm not entirely sure why. I am recording this on my computer this time as well, because I've started doing summaries, because not everyone can make it for the live session. So then I make a summary, like a recap that I post on the channel instead. I thought that's quite nice for people. Hey, Andreas. Feeling pretty good. Pretty good. I had an amazing weekend. A really, really nice weekend. Bitrate looks fine, but you're out of focus. Yeah. There's also something with the camera. I see if that helps. I need to look into these things. Now there's something with, for some reason, it just doesn't want to focus on me. Hey, Christian. How about everyone else? Everyone's had a good weekend? It seems to focus on the lamp behind you sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's set to center focus and automatic focus, but I think I'll just put it to manual focus in the future. That way, maybe I can do it now, actually. Never mind. See much. Jack is saying it's good. The only thing that's strange is the orange ball on the my left. You mean that ball up there, Jack? Or do you mean that there? Or there's a there's a lot of orange balls going around here. I'm not sure which one you mean. And on the other side, yeah. It's just for some fun. It just looks a bit nicer and cozier. The big one, yeah, that's it's a gobo projector, I think they're called. It's just like a small little lamp that projects it. I think it looks cozy. A bit ambient lighting in here. It's not so dark. So everyone had a good weekend? It might be a glitch in the matrix, Jax. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's something. The Matrix is such an interesting movie. I still remember when I saw it, when it was released. I was back in the States visiting a friend that I went to high school with. I was in the States as an exchange student in 1996. I did my senior year. That's a long time ago. And the Matrix was new, and it was like this big thing, and everyone was like, wow, mind blown. But it wasn't, it's become even more cult now than it was then. Then it was like a really good movie, and it was famous for the shots of them, like they had that thing with the cameras all around, so they circle when they did like karate moves and stuff. But now it's kind of become this red pill, blue pill, and it's really like Andrew Tate and those kind of people who talk a lot about it, unfortunately. Let's see, SPA, what's that, Andreas? Jack, work. Yep, same here, work. Stephen is saying, I've been listening to Thich Nhat Hanh lately. He has a lot of great insight. Yeah, he's a really nice... Thich Nhat Hanh is such a special teacher. It's really a special way of teaching. He, compared to, for me, I love Thich Nhat Hanh. I like him. I like his centers. But his actual teaching and Dhamma talks, they don't do anything for me. They're just really soothing to listen to. But I think it's way too much poetry and talking around. So for me, that's just too vague and too like all over the place. But for some people, that's exactly what you need to really feel the thing around us. You can get to what is at. So it's just different people need to hear different things. I want to hear experiences. I want to hear directly what we are experiencing, not all the other interpretations and ideas and thoughts about it. Just this thing we're experiencing is what I'm interested in. And that differs from people to people. Mats, I had a horrible weekend. Oh, I'm still really bad mood. I am interested to see how the meditation will go. That sucks, Mats. I'm sorry to hear that. But, let's see, Jack is saying, but the only first on, it's full of ideas that was brand new to modern audience and known to each other. Andreas, in Swedish. Spa. Oh, okay, spa. Nice, Andreas. I like SPA. Like what's yeah. Sorry. Okay, I have to admit I am very tired. And you know, when I get tired, I get almost like a little bit drunk. I'll try to stay focused. I used to have that when I get really tired. I basically become like I'm drunk, make really bad jokes, and you can't take me serious. Stephen, is a neutral state the state we are aiming for? No, we are not aiming for a neutral state. That's a good question. So Stephen is asking, is a neutral state the state we are aiming for? Absolutely not. Well, as a passage, it could be something that we start out to go through neutrality, but we're not aiming for neutrality. Neutrality is what you get when you do lots of vipassana. Basically, we observe the three, what do they call it? The three realities of life? Meaning the three, Jack, help me out. What's the name for the three things we observe? Anyway, what you try to observe is that everything is impermanent, meaning that everything you see, it comes and it goes. That's the same as we watch. We see how we sit and we feel these distortions. They come and they go. True. Second thing is that nothing contains a sense of self. There's no I in anything, meaning that we feel like we are here and engaging. That's all an illusion. That's the same as we do in Vipassana or insight meditation. And we do the same. We view that there is no sense of self. Thirdly, we explore and see that everything contains dukkha. Now here's what I differ a little bit. Yes, it contains suffering, meaning this distortion is my interpretation of dukkha, but you can actually go beyond that, because that's the whole point. Like ultimately you would not experience distortion, dukkha. So those things are correct. But, not jhana, Mats, that's a concentration state. The thing that differs from Vipassana, which is the thing that I think I spoke about this in one of my videos, was that when I did Vipassana a lot, I got really calm, very relaxed. And I could sit for a long period of time and just follow my breath. There was nothing going on. There was very little suffering. I was in this state, like this very calm state. But I was still there. When I stopped meditating, I could feel that I needed to calm down and observe the things happening again. And then I went to Plum Village. We just mentioned Thich Nhat Hanh, and his center focuses on experiencing the world through joy, like going out and the Thai monks, there was like enjoy, Vietnamese monks, sorry, there was enjoy, just enjoy nature, look how beautiful everything, appreciate, be happy, be grateful, be kind to all living beings, and they really focus on this warm, cozy feeling. And when I did that, I had, like every single day almost, I experienced non-centric states or non-duality, these really strong states where I would sit and just like, whoa, oh, it's amazing, look at this, oh my goodness, wow. Like I was tripping almost, but without the craziness of the tripping like that. But it's just like, this is, look at this, holy shit, this is insane, can you see? Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. This is, how could I miss? I must be seeing some other dimension. It's just so beautiful. And I would keep popping into this. This is what I call non-centricness, because there's not a strong sense of self. Now, in the beginning, there's a wow feeling. That's very common. You drop into that and it feels like, wow, this is incredible. That disappears, and later there will just be what I call good mood, enjoyment, appreciation for everything being the way it is, and really being here just with your senses. There is no... So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a direct experience of reality through our senses without the sense of self. But what most of us have, is we have an experience of reality with a sense of self coloring everything and making up stories. So this is not, when we see this, first of all, we have I obviously know that it's a sofa. I'm not an idiot. But there's a difference between feeling this is a sofa, feeling the value of the sofa, feeling the story of how it was given to my brother, and how I had to clean it up because there was cat pee on it, but I fixed it up, and then it's really clean, and now it's like new. I have all these stories. I could have an emotional relationship to it. But when you're experiencing without having a sense of self-coloring that, it is incredible. Whether it has cat pee or not on it, it's still beautiful watching this. So we're not trying to aim for neutrality, Stephen. What we're trying to do is aim for a direct experience of reality with the sense of enjoyment, appreciation. Because what happens when you don't have a sense of self, it's not that you have to do it. You're not really doing the enjoyment that I'm talking about. It's not something you do. It's something that comes up. You get out of the way and you observe through your senses, a direct observation of reality, and then you get this feeling of, wow, it's incredible being here. I don't need to go anywhere. The idea that we have, oh, I need to have money, I need to have clothes, even I need to have food, all these feelings like I need to, that disappears. That doesn't mean you don't understand that if you don't eat, you're eventually going to die. You still need to eat. It's just that the feeling of, oh my God, if I don't get food, that disappears. The feeling of, oh, I'm a complete failure. I failed this weekend. It was terrible. I made such a fool of myself, or someone behaved so poor. Like, that just makes no sense whatsoever. Because when you're just having a direct experience of reality, it's just colors, it's shapes, it's textures, it's feelings, experiences that you're just living through, and there's no need to do anything with them. And then when you have no need to do anything with them, then you can do whatever you want to do with them. So a direct experience of reality with the sense of joy, not neutral. But getting there, many times we pass through neutral. And there can even be numbness, which is very different from neutral. Numbness is when you feel like this. It's quite uncomfortable. I talk about this in... I've talked about it in a few videos, I think, but it can be a really scary experience because it feels like you just lock up and you have no emotions, no feelings, in a very scary place. Neutral, easier, but when you actually get into non-centricness, a direct experience of reality without a self, you'll start feeling this enjoyment and happiness and just appreciation for being alive, not having this constant urge to move somewhere else. Because when we sit and we watch this thing happening inside of us, we can feel that we're being pulled somewhere else. It's not okay that you just sit still. You say, no, we need to start meditating. We need to do something. I need to learn something. Or I had this thing happen to me before. I need to get rid of that. Then I can start enjoying that. All of that just disappears. And my hypothesis or my belief is that, and this is how it seems to me, that the more of these things you take away, the more of these distortions you take away, the easier it is to just exist and have a direct experience of reality and feel that joy. And it seems like as you continue on doing this, gradually, it just becomes the natural state. And it would make sense that there's a point when there's nothing to take away anymore. And then it would just flip over. Is, again, my hypothesis. I don't know, because I'm not experiencing reality that way. And I have never met anyone who seems to be experiencing reality that way. Although it would be difficult to know from the outside, because it's not like they would start flying or anything. But yeah, so thank you, Stephen. That was a good question. Oh, I see. People actually wrote quite a bit. I went on for a bit longer there than I planned. Let's see. Jack, you mean the three marks of existence, the three qualities of vipassana, or the three attributes one looks for. There's a term for it. I forgot about it. It's not important. But yeah, maybe the three marks of existence might be the same word. Mindful Mama. These evenings are really helping me. Today I had a moment where I got really annoyed. Then I remembered that I have a choice. I can be annoyed, but I looked at this choice I have. Super interesting. That's a really good point. Let's just see what she says more. Mindful Mama. I observed the distorted feeling and observe all these voices of me who told stories why I should feel bad about this. It's not easy, I think, but eventually I dropped it. So the reason why the kryptonite for the self, the sense of self, is enjoyment is because, let's take Mats, for example. Mats had a difficult weekend. He had this difficult thing that happened. If he would try to feel enjoyment and appreciation for being in here now, it was like, no. I can't do that. Don't you know what happened to me? And you have this whole story of the thing that happened. I'm not picking on you, Mats. This thing that happened in this weekend, and it keeps pushing her. Like, I can't just let go of that. I can't just enjoy being here. No, because this happened, and then you have this sense of self here that goes out and pushes over there, and it creates this distortion. But when you focus on directly experiencing your senses, just as it is, without this distortion, the self is going to go and say like, no, we're not going to do that. Are you kidding me? You've been hurt. Someone mistreated you. This went wrong. You lost this. This happened. That was terrible. You didn't get any sleep. You went out and you got drunk and you dropped a brick on your toe, and that made you drop your keys in the ocean, and you had that phone number to that beautiful, oh my God, I can't believe I missed this. That's all stories. I mean, that might be true, and it might mean you need to do something about it, but the self can't allow you to feel good because of all these things. And when you start questioning that, it really doesn't make any sense. Because that's just, like, it's not now. We're sitting here now. There's no reason why that would force you to feel bad now. It really is enjoying a direct experience of our senses. And when you do that, you scale away like time, past and future just doesn't really exist, because you're just experiencing this thin slice of now. It's when it makes sense, it's just so easy sometimes. There will be times when it just works and you just don't have to think about it. Well, you think about it and you go in and you look like, why am I sabotaging this? And you can even see sometimes like really ridiculous behaviors, like you're with someone you like and you're having a good time, but then something happened before and you're ruining this moment. Why you should be enjoying yourself because of some dumb thing, or maybe they said something, or maybe when they ate their food, they smacked a certain way, or they left their sock on the kitchen table, or didn't fold down or fold up the ring to like whatever it is. It's just like ridiculous stuff. So it's really about choosing enjoyment, choosing appreciation, choosing to see that this moment is good. This moment is nice. It's enjoyable experiencing. Again, that's not to say that there aren't certain situations that make it very difficult to appreciate reality as it is. And hopefully none of you are in a situation when you're having something terrible happen to you. But most of us, 99.9% of the time, are actually living a very easy life with little to worry about real things like danger right now. Yeah. Time flies when we do these things in the beginning, but I just really enjoy these questions because they help me also come up with better explanations. And the more I talk about it, the more like, oh yeah, that's what it is. I don't really think about this much because it's just so natural. It's just when I see myself being angry at someone in my family, sometimes I let that go out, but I can also see like, why? Why am I doing this? Isn't life so much nicer if I choose to actually enjoy being here? If I choose to be happy here? And when there's less of you, life just becomes easier. So, for those of you who are new, we normally start out with a little chat like this in the beginning. And then after that, we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where we say out aloud 5 things that we can see, 4 things that we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole idea is that it's not about doing the stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter if you say follow along even. The whole idea is to have a direct experience of your senses. Meaning that when you look at something, you really look at that thing without having an emotional relationship, without having the sense of self come in and do a judgment, say this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like this color is, it makes me feel like this, or I remember this. No, we're just trying to see things as they are without the sense of self coming in and tainting it, I think is actually a proper word. And it doesn't matter if you follow along. You can just do one and just look at that. That would be much better than doing all of them 10 times over. It's just that you really look at what you look at, really listen to what you listen for. And after that, we sit for 20 minutes, and today is Monday, yeah? So we have guided meditation today, and after that, we have a question and answer if anyone has any questions. I'm quite tired today. It's not going to be too long a question and answer after, unless I get really like drunk tired, and then maybe I start making jokes and I can't turn off the stream. We'll see what happens. So you can say it's, if you can, try to say it out loud, because when you say it out loud, it makes you really stop and think, whereas it's not just rambling in your head. So I can see an image of myself. I see a round circle. I see a lizard, a painted lizard. I see the letter T. I see a USB charger. And there was 5 things that I could see. Now we take 4 things that we can feel. So I can feel my knee. I can feel the carpet. Really feel the texture of it. Feel what it feels like to feel the lumps and the ups and downs, and maybe it's scraping a little bit. Whatever it is you're feeling, just feel it. I can feel the warmth. Yes, there's warmth. I was expecting to feel warm, but I didn't know. That's actually not how you're supposed to do it. But I can feel the warmth of my cup. And I can feel the sofa. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. And here it's nice to listen for something a little bit finer nuance. If you hear a sound of a motor, try to see if you can hear some rhythmic sound in there. Maybe there's some clonking, or maybe there's something else. Just listen for more details and don't just take the first thing that comes to your ears. I hear a large engine in the distance. I hear car sound being reflected off the walls of our house. I hear cracking noises from my spine. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I smell a bit of stuffiness in this room. I smell sweat. And finally we take 1 thing that we can taste. It can taste kind of a bad breath taste. So for today's meditation, we'll be doing our normal breathing meditation. I want you all to start focusing on your breath. In this particular kind of meditation, we're not trying to gain high levels of concentration, even though that is a quite common side effect of doing this kind of meditation. But we're not trying to focus on a tiny point, not at the tip of our nose or at the back of our nasal cavities as the air comes in. Instead, we're trying to feel a wider field of our body. It's more a sense of breath is happening, a relaxed sense, a effortless sense of what's happening inside of you. Sometimes you'll barely notice that you're breathing because the breath will be so tiny. But we're trying to make our awareness wide. Instead of pointing with the finger, imagine that you're holding up your entire hand flat, feeling your whole body with focus on the breath. Now it's quite common that when you sit down, you'll have thoughts of things that happened before that were very, very important that you need to think about. There's some kind of problem or something that happened to you that you need to solve. You need to find out why that happened. You need to find out how you're going to solve it, or why people did what they did, or why something happened the way it did. Or you might think about the future, about tomorrow, about all the things you need to do, all the things that need to be figured out, how to solve them, how to make them better, how to make them turn out the way you want them to turn out. And all of that is fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But for the next 20 minutes, ask yourself if it's okay to give yourself permission to let all of that go and just do this one incredibly simple thing of observing your breath as it's moving in and moving out, and moving in and moving out. And if you worry about it, you can promise yourself that as soon as you're done, you can start up trying to find solutions, trying to figure out, trying to understand, trying to analyze, trying to satisfy this discomfort inside of you that is pushing you towards finding out what you need to do to allow yourself to feel okay being here. And if you've lived long enough, you'll realize that that time is never going to happen, except for short periods of time. But for today, the next 20 minutes, we're going to let all of that be. And we'll just be focusing on our breath as it goes in and out. And to make that a little bit easier, we'll be using a technique where we count our breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. And I'll do it one time together with you, and then you can continue by yourself. So breathing in, breathing out. 1. Breathing in, breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in, breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 8. Breathing in, breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in, breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 1. Now keep counting your breath, going from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1 in your own tempo as you breathe in and breathe out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. To have a direct experience of reality, you need to allow all your feelings and all difficult emotions to come up. But we look at them a little bit differently than we normally do. What tends to happen if you have a difficult emotion is that you sink into that feeling. I am angry. I feel hurt. And so you become that hurt. Your sense of self is that feeling of being hurt, betrayed, belittled, or whatever you feel. When you allow that feeling to blossom, to come up, when you don't tense around it, when you don't resist it, but you take on a wide sense of awareness and just allow that distortion to stay there and see what happens to it. You can see almost as if there's a direction in it. There's a point of origin centered somewhere in you, which can move around, but generally speaking, it's a sense of a center point somewhere along your spine, usually around the navel area. And then that tenses up and you can feel it pushing outside of you. You can feel it creating a tension all over your body, or a sense of it pushing to your left or your right or your past or your future. But there is a sense of origin somehow. That sense of origin is where your sense of self is. That's the point that is being pushed against. And the whole feeling, the whole emotion is your sense of being. When you let that come up and don't resist it, it will be scary. Because you're so used to tightening on to that feeling, to hold on to that. But instead just let it come and see that it's nothing dangerous. It's just a feeling inside of you that will come and that will go. And there is no self in it ultimately when you observe it. And all of these distortions, all of these feelings contain dukkha or suffering. So if you have something that is troubling you now that feels difficult, see if you can just allow that feeling to blossom, to come out, and observe where it originates. And see that it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a distortion inside of you. And it will come and it will go. And you will experience a direct experience of your reality without that distortion, that vibration, making it so that you can't see clearly, so that you can't hear clearly, feel clearly, smell smells clearly, or taste clearly. And all the while, use your breath as an anchor as you're breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. As you're sitting vulnerable and naked towards these distortions, these difficult sensations inside of you, think that this is effortless. We're not trying to push that feeling away, even though you might want to get away from it. We're not trying to make it bigger, smaller. We're just giving it the space it needs, without resisting it, without resisting reality as it is right now. And as you sit there and observe, it might feel like there's a struggle, like this is difficult. And it will be in the beginning, because we're not used to actually feeling what we feel. We're so used to pushing it away or making up excuses or validating or reasons. I feel this way because they did this to me. I'm suffering because this happened here, that didn't happen there. The world should be like this, but it's like this or that. Just ask yourself, this is the only moment you have right now. How do you want to spend it? The time we have alive here on the planet is finite. It's not a long period of time, and you can choose how to spend it. And I leave that up to you as you observe your breath, breathing in, breathing out. 1, breathing in, and breathing out. Feel free to keep on sitting with your eyes closed. Just continue sitting, or if you want to or have any questions, post them in the chat, or just have a cup of tea with me. Jack, done for today. Thank you, Martin, for your time. How's the weather? Seen any auroras lately? Well, probably not as good as you have on Iceland, Jack. But yeah, there's been some pretty strong auroras here lately. Mindful Mama, thank you. Bedtime for me. Nice. I am really tired as well. If no one has any direct question or any thoughts about the meditation, then I think we'll call it a night. Mats, very difficult setting, but that doesn't surprise me. I can't seem to shake the feeling that if I let go of my sorrow, that I rob the event of relationship of its meaning. Yes, that's exactly what it's about, Mats. And that's why I say that feeling good and enjoying your senses is the kryptonite to the self, because the sense comes in and says, who would I be if I didn't feel bad about this? What would this mean if I didn't feel bad about this? I need to feel bad about this. Because your sense of self is created, but all these things you distort towards, all the things you judge as good or bad or right or wrong, whatever it is. And again, I'm not saying that you're wrong in what you believe. I'm just saying that the sense of self comes from you distorting towards that. The interesting thing is that when you stop distorting towards it, you can still make a choice. But you're not doing it just because you feel bad. You're doing it because it's what you believe is the right thing to do, or what you think is the best use of your time, the best way to do things. But it's not because of this system controlling you. And that system has been planned in there from your birth, by your parents, by your teachers, by society, by school, by advertisements, by people around you. And a lot of those people didn't have your best interest in mind. Jack Crasher, good night. Good night, Jack. Stephen, how do you not take the spiritual path too seriously? Just don't take it too seriously. I mean, it's part of the game, Stephen. You kind of have to take it too seriously at some one time or another. It's just going to happen. Everyone does when they start out. It's just, you'll start having all these beads and necklaces and cows and sit and chant and do things and do rites and rituals that you believe are important and talk to your spirit guides and like all this stuff. And again, I'm not saying that's real or unreal. I'm just saying that people tend to always go too deep in at first. And then hopefully after a while they calm that down a little bit. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I was fortunate that I never really went too far into it. I was always able to stay real, if I can say it that way. And I think part of the reason is because I was not into it for religion. I was into it because I was suffering. I was really annoyed that I could never find fulfillment, that I always wanted more, that I always believed that I needed to have this thing. And I had seen that so many times over and over and over that when I got into meditation and spiritual practice, I didn't fall into the trap that many others do, that, oh, I'm going to get more experiences, I'm going to have more people, I'm going to save the world, and if I do that, then I'll be... No. I mean, I knew from the start that that's not going to work. Mats, I kind of feel lost in distortion, like I'm on autopilot. Meditation sometimes lets me take a step back, at least, just totally controlled by the pull of ego. And it's actually a really good point. Most people are on autopilot. I mean, you're just waking up to this. Oh God, I hate that word, waking up. But yeah, you're just realizing this. Most people think this is normal. They think like, oh no, it's perfectly normal. I'm supposed to do this, and they get angry, and they don't realize that where did you get that belief from? Why are you feeling angry about this? And if you would have grown up on the other camp who are angry at you, maybe like you would have probably felt the way the other people in that group do. And it's just, we have all these things planted inside of us, and there is something to be said to, you need to suffer. You need to, Thich Nhat Hanh, again, to take him, because he has some very beautiful quotes, and one of them is, no mud, no lotus. In other words, if there's no mud, there cannot be a lotus who come up and blossom. And that is a good analogy. You need to suffer to be able to overcome this, because if it's not hurting enough, then you have no reason to stop it from happening. And for a lot of people, I mean, that's true. A lot of people just function and they work and they think it's okay. And especially when we're younger, we don't have much of an issue with it the way we have when we get older. I think it's worse today because of social media, because it makes you feel so much more distortion than at least I did when I was at their age. They're judged by everyone now. They have much more influence about things to feel bad about. So I think that's something that's hurting our youth and older people as well. But there is something to be said for suffering, because when you feel that distortion and how it hurts, eventually you'll get so sick and tired of it. I'm like, I just want this to stop. Just take it away from me. I don't want this anymore. And that's the point when you will really start looking, okay, where is this coming from? I talked about in the meditation, there's a sense of a center point and it goes out. And you start looking at that, and you need to really, like I said, we don't push these feelings down. We don't shove it down and say, oh, I shouldn't feel this. Or we don't try to transmute them by saying, oh, it's okay, we're going to live a different life next time. Or the reason you're feeling this now is because of karma from a past life. We're not trying to just make it feel better. We're actually trying to feel, no, what does it feel like to feel betrayed, to feel hurt, to feel ashamed, to feel like I did something wrong or I did something right, and just let that come up. Don't resist it. Don't hold on to it. Don't make it a part of you. Just feel that feeling and see that that is uncomfortable. I signed up on dating apps again. Those are pure distortion machines for me. Yeah, I can imagine. I kind of want to try to get over it. Just want to sit with that. But feeling unlovable really hits a sensitive spot. My brother got divorced last year, and he started going on to dating apps as well, and he said the same thing. It's just crazy out there, and there's so many weird people. I think a lot of people, we just watched a series called Nobody Wants This or Nobody Wants That on Netflix, and it's about a Jewish rabbi who falls in love with a normal white girl who is out partying and stuff. And it's just such a nice series because it really captures what I think a lot of people miss. Just normalness. Like just we don't need all this crap and all that. Like, no, it's just two people who like each other. And there's something very nice about just being a normal person. And when you go out on dating apps, there's so many, like, people want different things from those things. So I think a lot of people really just want to meet a normal person. Someone who's just like, they don't need to be billionaires, they don't need to be photo model, just someone you can depend on, someone you can trust. I mean, I've been in a relationship for 9 years, and there's a lot of things that we had to work through. But one of the things that really stand at the bottom of it is that we love each other. We really enjoy each other's company. We trust each other. I mean, I can count on my hand the amount of times I've been jealous, and that's not because of something my partner did. It's because of something that just I reacted to from my past. So I can understand how that can be distortion. If you wanted to work with it as a distortion practice, you could do a variation of the video meditation where you would actually sit down, you'd meditate, try to let go of all the distortion, then you open up the app and you can just sit with the telephone in front of you and see if you can see this, like I said, the distortion. There's a center point coming out, and it goes out, and you just let that feel where is the origin of that, and see if you can kind of dismantle it by just letting it come up and seeing that there's nothing there. And then you can start the app, and you can start, I don't know if you swipe or if you scroll, or I haven't actually, I should look at one of those. I'm not sure what my partner would think about that, but I'm curious to see how it actually works, because I don't think I've ever seen one. I've been fortunate not to have to do that. And then you just see what comes up. And you look at that distortion. You don't need to click on anyone, but the funny thing is that if you do that, I found that my best choices are made when I'm not really there. And I don't mean I'm lost in my thoughts. I mean when I'm not distorting. And things just tend to work out when I'm not distorting. So I would try that. Mats, I really felt the origin of the distortion during today's meeting. Good. And it hurts, right? It sucks. It really sucks. And when you realize that you're doing this to yourself 24/7, then you're like, what am I doing? This is insane. And that's what I said, no Lotus. You kind of need to see, hey, wait a minute, this hurts. Someone who's stuck in, I'm just going to work more and get more money and hasn't really seen this, then it makes no sense to stop it. You kind of need to get to a point where you stop and look at this, and that has to come from within. So that's good. See, it's getting late, so we're going to stop soon, but I'll take a few more. JVB, how do we build trust in ourselves that the decisions we make are because we truly believe they're the best decision for us? Okay, so here again comes something that I'm different from most people. I don't really see that as the main thing. Because you're talking about what's best for you. That's personal development, making good decisions. And I'm sure there are a lot of good decision methods that you could practice for doing that. But something much more useful is that you can feel, how do I distort against this? Like if you have a choice between A and B, and you sit with these choices, and this one really distorts, this one really pulls, and you sit with those and you just focus on seeing the origin of that distortion, of feeling the pain from making this decision, and just using that as an exercise, and then not caring about the outcome. Again, don't do anything stupid. Don't like do something that will hurt you financially or physically in any way. I'm just saying, like, practice this with smaller choices that don't make much of a difference in the beginning. But then eventually this is really the best way to make decisions. When you don't feel distortion, then you'll think clearly. Because when you go in and say you're going to make a choice whether should we take it for me, okay, so I'm in a situation where I'm doing this and I really enjoy doing this. Should I buy a course where I can learn how to actually earn money from doing this and make courses for other people so that I can teach better? There's a distortion spending the money, but there's also well, if it did work, I could help more people and I would actually be able to earn more money, meaning that I could work less at my other work and work more with this. So if I take away the distortion, then I still know that it costs money. And should I spend that money? Well, I still have to make that choice. But I can also see that, there can be a positive outcome. And I can think of it not from fear of losing the money, not from any kind of greed that I want to have all this money, but just out of the perspective, what do I believe is the best use of my time and my resources? So it's not about making the best decision. It's about feeling good with making decisions. And then you have to be willing to let go of the idea that it's very important you make the right decision. I know you keep asking these questions, JVB, and I will never respond in the way you want to like that, because that's just not what I do. There are other people who are really good at this. I just focus on how you distort towards it. And my experience is that when I am in a state of not distorting towards things, I usually make the best choices. If I take a choice from fear, anger, greed, or irritation, they're usually not good choices. Let's see, Stephen. A lot of times relationships can be distortions too. Oh, yes, they can be. You like each other to fulfill your distortions. Yes. That is something that's very interesting when you really start doing this and you start being with another person and experiencing her or him. Not the story around them, but actually them. Like this raw experience of reality. Let's see, Mats. Thank you, Martin. Have a great evening and see you on Thursday. Thank you, Mats. JVB, I get it. I don't be obsessed about making the best decisions. No. And again, don't do anything stupid, JVB. I'm not talking about like, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to go out and spend my money. No, I'm talking about really feeling good. And if you think about it, why are you worried about making the wrong decision? Because you want to feel good. You want to be able to enjoy and feel good being here, experiencing what's happening. And that's independent of those choices. You can still do that. And when you do that, then it's much easier to make choices. So it kind of, yes, it goes together, but really take away the distortion towards it. Good. Thank you for tonight. Beautiful sitting as always, and I love your questions and our discussions. I wish everyone I was going to say weekend, but it's not, an amazing week, and I'll see you all on Thursday again. Thank you.